Welcome everybody. This is a new webinar by wetransform, and today we are going to explain Hale Connect to you and how you can manage inspired data with Hale Connect. My name is Christopher Hahn. I'm the Business Development Manager at wetransform. I will be your host today. And with me there is Kate Lindegaard. She's the Product Manager at wetransform. Now, talking about Hale Connect, I think when we started it in the beginning, our vision was not just to provide a core functionality, like to model, to transform, and to publish, but more a whole platform that automates the process from end to end. So there's a lot more to that. You can see that here, obviously. For instance, you can update data and metadata automatically. You can monitor your quality of service requirements. There's failover support, fast recovery from incidents, and also support and for app schema creation. Users can share and collaborate. So how can they reuse solutions that have been created elsewhere? And of course, modeling, metadata profiles, extensions, important subjects in some cases, and a lot more things that go together. And in the ideal world, you can just change one thing and the rest is being done automatically. So that's the vision. I think we haven't achieved that yet, but we've come closer to that, right? So, and of course, it has to be easy to use. That's what we will also show to you later. Hale Connect has been specifically designed for someone with little Inspire expertise, so that users users of a core workflow can profit from that. Now, that also means we support much more complex solutions than just the core workflow and many variations of that. And this is fairly complex. That is a setup that usually requires some support from us. So that's normally for the IT data centers that provide solutions to other parties. That is quite different from let's say, a standard core process. And of course, Hale Connect covers the dynamics of Inspire. So no matter what changes have been mandated for Inspire, Hale Connect always supports the latest requirements to support full Inspire compliance. Okay, so this is also built into, I think that contributes also to the ease of use. Hale Connect is ready for new applications. That means Inspire data have become a great basis, for instance, for a number of artificial intelligence use cases. Not sure if you've heard about that, but we have supported a number of these applications already, and we also see a growing demand. So the Inspire data really has a great value add to these applications. There's a lot of technical reasons for that, but this is something that really helps to create much better analyses and predictions for many use cases. And also there's new interaction approaches where we exploit the richness of the Inspire models, how you can use linked data and graph data for a better user interface, for instance, and also making the data itself more useful. That, for instance, you know about GeoJSON, GeoPackage, and so on. That really is helping a lot. So Hale Connect is prepared for that. What's also important, and to give you an idea, Hale Connect gives you full control. So what does it mean? Primarily, there is no lock-in for any user or any organization into this application or our deployment method. You can always switch from one deployment to another one. And of course, you can also switch easily from our application to another system. That is also true vice versa. So, and the reason being is that we use APIs and open standards, open APIs specifically. And that allows you a lot of flexibility when using Hale Connect. You're not locked in at any rate. And if needed, you can also have access to the source code and verify it beyond, and also edit it if needed. That's certain contracts we also have. All right, so the last one is what I call some misperceptions and facts about Hale Connect This is because we regularly get feedback on Hale Connect, and sometimes there are patterns of misperceptions. For instance, that Hale Connect only works as a software as a service in public cloud environment. It's not available in other languages like, for instance, Turkish, Croatian, Portuguese, or whatever. It's too complex for users with little experience and knowledge, and of course, it's too expensive. Of course, that's the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, but what I can tell you, Hale Connect can easily be installed on premise, and there's another webinar on August 18th where we'll demonstrate that. That's a lot more technical, but of course we will show that. So I would like to say you can operate it in your living room. It's not what I recommend, but technically it's feasible. The user interface, for instance, can be translated into any other language within a day, as it's been prepared for that. So that's no problem. Also, the ease of use always depends on the workflow you choose. We have implemented workflows that are so easy to use that after uploading the file, the whole process until publication is being done pretty much automatically. So that is depending on the workflow and the use case, obviously. So it can be done very easily. And of course, it's also priced for low and even very low budgets. Or just to give you an idea, for buying directly, it's something like 1,000, 1,500 euros per year. Now, if that is too much for you, think about the shared solutions that we also support. Then the price may go down to 200, 300 euros per year. Of course, there's a lot of questions here to that, but just to give you an idea, and you get always the full system and the full process and compliance, and no maintenance cost. Everything is included in that. Okay. And now, before we get started with the demo itself, Kate will explain with Hale, what Hale Connect helps you to manage, how to manage your data according to Inspire. Kate, please.
Welcome again to today's webinar. My name is Kate Lendegaard, and as Chris mentioned, I work here a lot with Hale Connect daily as a product manager here at wetransform. Today, I'm going to be discussing how you can manage your inspired data on Hale Connect. So let's begin with that. Hale Connect is an online platform. You can use it to extend and adapt data models. That means that you can not only load schema files, but you can also extend them. So you can also create schema extensions on Hale Connect, or even schema profiles on Hale Connect. You can also use them to collaboratively develop transformation projects online, so where you can use communication tools to discuss them and work on their development. You can use the platform to transform and validate the data, so you can execute your online transformations on Hale Connect, as well as validate them using various test suites. You can use it to publish network services, so you can publish your OGC and Inspire compliant view and download services. All right, so when we speak about Inspire compliance, this is a good visualization of some of the challenges that we're facing. So this visualization describes a few of the resources required for Inspire compliance. On the bottom left-hand side of the diagram, you can see our data set, so our Inspire data set. You can see on the right-hand side, we also have our services, and above, at the top of the diagram, we have our various sets of metadata. So we have data set metadata, and then you will also have service data. That can mean upwards of 3 different sets of service metadata, because if you have a WMS, a WFS, and an Atom feed, then you also need WMS metadata, WFS metadata, and Atom feed metadata as well. The creation of these resources takes some amount of effort. They're all cross-referencing each other, so each of the metadata sets contains references to the data set. And you can see that in this diagram displayed by the red arrows. So the dashed lines represent the resource identifiers that are cross-referenced, and The red line represents the file identifiers that are used. So all of these resources have to be created. They all have to cross-reference each other, and they all have to be synchronized and kept up to date when something changes. So this can be a very complex process, and this is what is required by Inspire. The good news is that all of these resources can be quite easily created in Hale Connect. So this is the Hale Connect approach. Really, the user starts off with their data. It could be in various formats, could be a shape file, you could have GML, XML, a CSV file. You start with your source data, then we run an online transformation. So usually that transformation project comes from Hale Studio, but it can be exported directly to Hale Connect. And then we have a service publisher that publishes the transform data. So it will publish all of your various metadata sets as well as your view and download services. So that's the approach we take on the Hale Connect platform. This is a good diagram which shows the basic resources that you need to create on Hale Connect, and I'll be showing you a little bit more about this in a live demo. So first of all, you start off with your source schema, which contains your data. You may have just one schema. You may use more than one schema. That's possible. You have your theme. A theme you can think of as a configuration file or the settings. So the theme tells Hale Connect how you would like to publish your data. So it can tell you what type of metadata you would like to publish, what types of spatial reference systems you'd like in your view and download services, and that type of information. Hale Connect takes those settings from the theme, and then it uses them to publish your view services and your download services, as well as your data set itself. Okay, so there are a few different resources that are needed to create the type of automated workflow that I'll be showing you today. First of all, you need to create a transformation project. So in the demo I'll be showing you later today, I've already created a transformation project in Hale Studio, and I exported it directly to Hale Connect. So the first step is typically creating a transformation project in Hale Studio, which is our desktop software that we also offer, and we offer a lot of webinars on that as well. So once you're in Hale Studio and you have your transformation project completed, then you can export it directly onto the Hale Connect platform. Then it's available as an online resource. You also need to create a schema. So schemas can be imported from schema files, so XSDs, you can access them online. You can create them directly from shapefiles, for example. You need to create a schema so that Hale Connect knows what type of data you want to upload to the platform, and that it uses the schema. It's a set of rules. It uses the schema to validate the data that you upload to make sure that it's valid and correct. So in the live demo I'll be showing you today, I've already created my schemas that I need to use to perform my online transformation. You'll also need a theme. As I mentioned, the theme, they can be created automatically while you're creating your schema. And a theme you typically go into after creation, and you change and configure the settings as you would like to have them. So again, you can think of it as a configuration file for your online transformation or your data publishing. It tells the system how exactly you'd like your services published. For example, you can set automation settings. If you upload new data, the system can detect that and automatically trigger republishing. You can choose times of the day you'd like it done. These types of things as well can be configured in the theme. Again, I've already created my theme resources for the demo that I'll be showing you. And finally, you need your data set. So your data set is the data, typically the source data that you'd like to transform into Inspire GML. So to create a data set, it's fairly simple. That's the easiest part. You simply upload your data, and once you have this online workflow configured, Hale Connect will automatically read your data set, validate it, make sure that it validates against the schema you've chosen. It will transform your data and then publish your services for you in a few simple steps. And that is what I'm going to show you now. So, but before I do that, one final slide on Hale Connect for Inspire. Hale Connect comes fully loaded with all of the Inspire schemas. So when you create typically your target schemas, all of the Inspire schemas are preloaded. We also have a lot of useful preloaded code lists in the Hale Connect metadata editor. So you can create Inspire compliant metadata fairly easily. Once again, it's part of the dataset creation workflow. Again, in a few easy steps, you can create your dataset and it's fully Inspire compliant metadata. We've added a few choices. For example, the Inspire priority datasets keyword dropdown. We've added the Inspire spatial scope code list as well, so that you can choose from easy to use drop-down menus the Inspire keywords that you need for compliancy. And I'll show you that as well. I'm going to bring up Hale Connect, the Hale Connect platform here. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. All right. So this is the Hale Connect platform that we're looking at now. As I mentioned, wetransform, we focus on mainly two products, Hale Studio and Hale Connect. So Hale Studio is used primarily to perform the data transformations between source and target schemas, and Hale Connect, which is what we're looking at today, is used to provide the network services. So first, let me go over the resource tabs that we see across the navigation menu at the top of the screen. So first we have our transformation projects here. So our transformation projects tab contains all of the transformation projects in your organization. So here you can view, if we look at, for example, the transformation project we'll be looking at today, and a transformation to Inspire river basin districts. This is data from the WISE data from the water directive. So here we can see in our transformation project on the overview section, we have some basic information about the transformation project, the author, the schemas used, the source schema, the target schema, a description. So this transformation project transforms water framework directive river basin district source data, which is a shape file, to the Inspire area management restriction regulation zones and reporting units theme. So it's going to transform a shapefile of water framework district data to the area management Inspire theme. We can also take a look at the mapping here. So these mappings are simply a different way to visualize the mappings that you see in Hale Studio, if you're familiar with Hale Studio. Here we can see all of the mappings that are involved in our project. As I mentioned before, it's also a collaborative tool because here you can add discussions to certain mappings. If you're working on these with a team or with different people, you can add tasks, notes, discussions to your mapping project. If I go to the file section here, I can download the transformation project. So I could simply click download as archive, and then I could download my transformation project and open it in Hale Studio. And that's a quick view of the transformation projects. The next tab we'll look at here is schemas. As I mentioned, we're also going to require schemas for our source and our target data. So I'll just take a look at one of the schemas we'll be using. So for example, the Inspire area management restriction and regulation zone schema. In the overview, again, I have some basic information. I can choose whether I want to make my project resources public or whether or not I wanted to subscribe to notifications on them when new discussions are started or when new information is added. In the files section, I can download the schema file. so an XSD. I can also see the feature types in my schema. So in this schema, I have one feature type, management restriction or regulation zone. I can see any data sets used by my schema. No data sets are used yet because I haven't published any. And so that's a little bit about schemas. The next resource we're going to look at is themes. When I create a schema, I can create a theme instantly as well. It can be instantly created. So in that case, it's typically created with the same name as your schema. So this theme, the Inspire Area Management Restriction and Regulation Zone theme, this theme will govern the way that data published using this schema will be configured. So here again, I have the overview of my scheme, tells me some basic information about when it was created, who created it. Again, I can set it as a public resource or not. Again, I can see the same feature types that are going to be used in my theme. A theme can be, you can add feature types to it. So if you need maybe a feature type from another schema, or you're working with combined schemas, that's also possible here to configuring your theme. And next I have my metadata. So you can also configure how your metadata is automatically generated. I spoke a little bit earlier about the fact that the metadata can be it can be 100% completely auto-generated on the Hale Connect platform. That does take some configuration, and that is the subject of one of our upcoming webinars, where I'll show you how you can fully configure Inspire compliant metadata using our metadata editor. So it's really helpful. We have functionality here that allows you to access values from across the platform to automatically populate your metadata. It's a little bit more of an in-depth topic, so I think we'll save metadata configuration for a future date, but it is possible, it is very powerful, and the good news is you only have to do it once, and then you can reuse your configurations as many times as you want. And the same is true for your service metadata. In the theme, as I mentioned, it's all about configuration. You can also configure how your view services are published. So here, for instance, you can choose the spatial reference systems that your view service will be available in. You can choose whether or not to activate get feature info querying. You could upload your own SLD. That's a styled layer descriptor file that controls the symbology of your features in your WMS. And the same for download services. You can choose whether or not you want Atom feed or WFS, and you can choose the formats that your transformed data will be available in an Atom feed. So for example, if you want it available as a shapefile or as GML in your Atom feed. And again, you can choose the spatial reference systems. Okay, so again, a theme is the configuration or the settings that control how your services are published. And finally, we have the data tab. The data tab is where we go when we want to create a new data set. We want to create a data set using a theme in order to publish services. So that's what I'll show you now. I'm going to create a new data set using an online transformation configuration. So that is a theme that already has a schema and a transformation project configured. And so what I'm going to show you now is how simple it is to upload a data set, transform it, and publish network services in just a few clicks. So the first step is to click on Create New Dataset. Click here. The first step is to select the theme. So I'm going to select the River Basin Districts theme so that the platform knows how I'd like to publish my data, my services. I'll click Continue. Now I have to upload my source data. So I want to upload the source data that I'd like to transform. So I'm going to select my shapefiles. I have some River Basin features here in a shapefile. Select those. when the tile turns green, then I know that my shapefile has passed a data analysis, a file analysis, and it is valid against the schema that I've selected. So my shapefile passes validation against my source schema. I'll click continue. Now I can type the name of my data sets. I'll just name it River Basin Districts. And next, we have the option to enter some metadata. So the red badge here with the 3 shows me that I'm missing 3 mandatory metadata elements. So expand this panel to fill those in now. So here I can see I need to provide the Inspire theme that this data belongs to. So I know that I'm working with the area management theme. I would like to transform my data to the area management, restriction, regulation zones, and reporting unit theme. So I'll select that theme. I also know that because this is water framework directive data, that's a priority data set in Inspire. So I need to add an Inspire priority data set keyword. That's also available here. So that is water directive data. Or maybe I'll try rivers set keyword. So this is river basin districts in the water framework directive. So that's my Inspire priority datasets keyword. Spatial scope is another Inspire codeless value that is required for Inspire priority dataset. So I'll add that as well. This is a national level dataset. Now I also need to provide the thematic classification. So that is the paired keyword that is needed, and it's based on the selection of the Inspire theme. So I know the thematic classification for area management is environment. So I'll select environment. And then data lineage, I'll just put the data was created in 2020. And all of my other metadata elements are filled in because I've automatically configured them. And again, we can go over that, and we'll go over that and how to do that in a future webinar. But you'll see that all of my details are automatically populated because they're being read from various parts of the application. And you can configure that so that you have actually very little metadata to fill in when you use Hale Connect to do it automatically. So next, I'll click continue. All of my metadata is filled. Now I have a few choices here. So I can choose to execute my transformation, create download services from my transformed Inspire data, and create view services. I'll just shut these off for now, and I'll just run the transformation so we can see that. And afterwards, I'll publish. So I'll click create. All right. So now you can see that the transformation is being executed. The transformation project that I showed you earlier is now being executed online, just as it would in Hale Studio. Go to transform data. Okay, so here I can watch the progress. Should just take a few moments. It's a small data set, just about 4 features. These are river basin districts from Denmark. Okay, and the transformation project is now completed online. So now we can see that it was successful. It started, it lasted a few seconds. We can see the source data there were 4 river basin district features. We can see in the target data, the transformed data, now we have 4 management restriction or regulation zone type Inspire features. So I can click here to navigate to my transformed data. And this is the output of the transformation project. So I'll click to files. Now you can see I no longer have a shapefile. I have GML. So I have some Inspire compliant GML. Take a look at that quickly. And there we have it. See, it's an area management, management restriction or regulation zone feature type. So that is my transformed data. It is valid as the file is green. Schema validation was successful. against my Inspire schema validation. Next, click on the metadata. Again, you always have the option to change values here. If you decided you'd like something to change, you can do that here very easily. Access to all of the same metadata we looked at earlier during creation. And now we'll go to the view services. Let's activate them. Okay, and our download services, we'll activate them. And now let's publish. So click Publish Services. So you can also trigger these to publish automatically if you like. You can choose to publish them as I'm doing now manually. And now it should just take a few moments to publish the dataset metadata, the view services, the network, the download services, as well as the view and download service metadata. It should just take a moment. In addition to the service publishing, Hale Connect also automatically validates the metadata and the network services that are published. So you also receive test reports, which show you the validity of your services. They're validated against the German GDE DE test suite. However, we're currently implementing the ETF validator for use in Hale Connect as well. So soon that will be available. Okay. And there we go. All right. So first we'll take a look at the view services. So here you can see we have now published our Inspire GML. We have WMS Get Capabilities 1.1.1 link, and we have a WMS Get Capabilities 1.3.0 link. So let's take a look at that. So here is our WMS Get Capabilities document for our Inspire River Basin District. So you could take this link and put it into QGIS and take a look at it. Alternatively, you can also use our embedded map viewer here. So if you click on Map View, you'll see the Hale Connect map viewer, where you can take a look at your data. May still be publishing here. Okay. And there we go. Data should appear in Denmark. These are the river basins of Denmark. There's 4 of them. We should see that. There we go. And there they are. And here you can see the pop-up with some information about the feature. If I click on Show Details, that will open our Feature Explorer. Our Feature Explorer is a really handy tool, part of the WMS, where you can navigate complex nested GML to any depth. It's really handy. Every time you see a nested property with the plus sign here, you can click it and navigate through the structure of your complex GML. Okay, so you can also, there's links to documents. It could be links, URLs to external documents. It could be PDFs. It could be code lists. Those are all available. You can also click those as well and navigate to those resources really easily. So that's really a nice feature. In addition to your WMS services, we've also published the dataset metadata here. So this is our dataset metadata. You can see it's a metadata file for our dataset here. And we also have published metadata for our view service. Here you can see this is service metadata. And if we go to download services, the same thing. So we have our Atom feed, our WFS, WFS metadata. Oh, this is the WFS get capabilities. So I have the WFS metadata and the Atom feed metadata. We also have an Atom feed service here where you can download your shapefile in GML.
What we've seen so far is really a lot of advantages are like automatically generated Inspire compliant metadata. And of course, you can always publish the whole Inspire compliant network services, and the app schema creation, I think, was also pretty straightforward. Of course, you always have to set everything up in the correct way. That is what really takes some support or understanding. And you can also validate the data automatically. There's a lot of more things, not trying to repeat that. But I think what's also of interest to you is we call them the Hale Connect resources. So you don't have to write that down. You will have access to the slides later on. I will send you a link in the next week. So there's a product description, there's a pricing section, there's a help and documentation where you find information. We also have a support forum. The webinar recording itself will also be added, so you can have access to this recording. And the beauty is when you download it, you really see it like on full screen, and so you can really see everything like it's on your own screen with your own application. So that is a big advantage in case there was some information lost here in that case. And of course, we also, that is now, of course, to be paid. We also offer training. These days, a lot of people ask for remote training. It's no problem. We also provide remote training. And there's also professional support if it's even more advanced. That really means you have a question now, you call us, you send us an email, and pretty much the next hour, or yeah, I would think in most cases it's within 1 or 2 hours you get the answer, so you can continue working on that. And often it's a very specific questions where you really need just the answer, and then you know what to do and how to do it. So it saves people a lot of time, but of course it's to be paid. It's not for free. And we have a phone number, so that's a pretty simple way to call us and to interact with us, but I wouldn't want to get this unnoticed.